Question 21. A backup administrator has been tasked to determine the process for Veeam replication on the Microsoft Hyper-V platform. Which are steps taken by the source Veeam Data Mover service during an incremental backup? Okay, let's take a look here. If CBT is unavailable, replica metadata will be leveraged. Otherwise, only change blocks are retrieved through the use of change block tracking, CBT. Only change blocks are retrieved through the use of replica metadata. All blocks are retrieved and then later filtered by the Veeam Target Data Mover service. Okay, only change blocks are retrieved through the use of change block tracking, CBT. If CBT is unavailable, all blocks will be retrieved and then later filtered by the Target Veeam Data Mover service. If replica metadata is unavailable, change block tracking will be leveraged with a performance penalty. Only change blocks are retrieved to the use of replica metadata. Okay, so the real question here is, could we use both of them? And I would say yes. So when we talk about Hyper-V, later versions of Hyper-V, in fact, has native change block tracking. It's actually called RCT. And the earlier versions of Hyper-V did not have this, but when using Veeam, a filter driver would be installed and basically give us the same kind of functionality. So what about this replica metadata? Well, I guess the real question then becomes, in which order are they used? So I would say if you use change block tracking, we can basically just poll and see which blocks have changed. If we can't get told which blocks have changed, then we have to extract blocks and then figure out through replica metadata if we need to transfer them to the other side. Not too dissimilar from what we do when we're creating backups without change block tracking. But why don't we go and take a look on the user guide, Veeam user guide, Microsoft Hyper-V. Let's see here, metadata, replica settings. So this is not really exactly what we need here. So let's see here about replication. How does it work? That's maybe not a bad thing. So let's see here, what do we have? It starts, so it creates a list of what it needs to do. Yes, connects to the backup service. Some scheduling happens, connects to the transport services, or data mover services, as we also call them. Okay, this is then started. Establishes a connection. And then at some point, it starts to do some reading here. So down here at step 9, source Veeam Data Mover reads the virtual machine data from the volume snapshot or checkpoint and copies it. During incremental job sessions, the source Veeam Data Mover uses CBT to retrieve only those data blocks that have changed since the previous job session. If CBT is not available, the source data mover service interacts with the Veeam Data Mover on the repository to obtain replica metadata and uses this to detect blocks that have changed. Okay, so first CBT and then metadata. So let's see up here. If CBT is unavailable, replica metadata will be leveraged. Yeah, otherwise only change blocks are retrieved through the use of CBT. That makes sense. Let's see down here. Only change blocks are retrieved to use replica metadata. No. All blocks are retrieved and then filtered. Also incorrect. Only change blocks are retrieved through the use of CBT. If it's available, it will then be retrieved and then later filtered by the target. No. If this is unavailable, then it uses CBT. So this is basically similar to the first one, just the incorrect order, right? First CBT, because this is the most efficient, and then it will be using replica metadata. So based on what we saw over here in step number 9, we can realize that if CBT is unavailable, replica metadata will be leveraged must be the correct answer.